Michael Nagy here with Jiggy Jag TV and DiscoveringBands.com. And for everyone watching right now, if you can share this video and this channel and help support the awesome bands I feature. And today I'm here with System Syn. How you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. It's good to have you. Now, I know the band has a lot of history, but for anyone not familiar with you guys, can you give us a little history about the project?
Sure. Yeah, the project itself has been around since the late 90s. It was kind of what I just started doing after I graduated high school, not to date myself there. But then, yeah, just kind of became like a fixture in LA in terms of playing a lot of the goth industrial shows here. And then in 2004, I got signed to Out of Line Records in Germany and Sector 9 Studios here in the U.S., which was at the time, which was a label run by Jason Bangert from God Module, and also Alex from Negative Format. And then after that, we got picked up by Metropolis Records, released a fuck ton of records on them, and then and here we are in 2020, right about to release the next album, and this one is coming out completely independently.
Wow. Yeah, what made you want to go the independent route?
You know, it just seemed like the time was right, you know, and also, yeah, I guess on a practical level, I've got a lot of money invested in creating the album, and you know, it's also one of the ways that I could actually recoup, you know, with or potentially, you know. But yeah, you know, but mostly, you know, I've seen other friends who are artists do it and be successful with it, and it just seemed like, you know, now is a good time to try it, and as good a time as it's ever been. So I figure, why not give it a shot?
Yeah. And I know you did a little hiatus to work on your film, and now coming back. Has that inspired you more for this album? Taking that little break?
Yeah, you know, I didn't consciously decide to take a break from music. It just kind of worked out that way. It's, you know, I find that no matter what you're doing, it always takes longer than you think it will. And so you know, it felt like I just blinked, and, you know, 6.5 years went by and I didn't have a new album yet. But yeah, the reality of it is, yeah, I was making a movie, doing the festival circuit with that and doing all the promo stuff. And then, you know, I also scored the film. So there was I did release an album, just the score for the film last year. But yeah, it wasn't a traditional System Syn album. But yeah, once I realized how long it had been, I thought it was about time. And it felt real good just to kind of be back in the studio working on music again.
Yeah, now your new album, Once Upon a Second Act, can you give us details about the album, some of the themes?
Yeah, I guess just overall, you know, it's a very personal album and thematically deals with a lot of, you know, loss and coping with that, and just kind of, you know, the new perspective, you know, you gain in life as the years go by and you wake up one day and you're just at a different stage in your life. And that's kind of, you know, thematically encapsulates what the album's about to me. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of feedback from other people who have heard it so far, and it's real interesting just to see other people's takes on what the album means to them. And it's always been something different so far, which is great, which I totally embrace, the listener kind of making it their own or relating to it in whatever way they can.
Awesome. Can you announce what the first single will be from the record?
You know, I haven't even gotten that far yet.
Wow.
I found myself, you know, doing it on your own, putting out an album on your own ends up, you know, being quite a substantial amount of work. So I hadn't even thought about what the single would be yet. I may just end up doing just like a remix EP or something after. I'm not real sure. I'm just kind of, the album comes out on June 26th, which is, you know, 8 days from when we're doing this interview right now. So I'm just kind of writing it through till then. And once it's out and we'll see how well it's received, then I'll kind of decide, you know, where to go from there. I'll definitely be doing some music videos and such, but I don't know if that'll be to coincide with the single release or more about just supporting the album.
Now the album cover, The Mechanical Heart, can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So the design is based on a painting by Mike Haffenden, who's a friend of mine, and I'm in another band called Imperative Reaction. And when Imperative Reaction re-released their first album, Eulogy for the Sick Child, Mike did a painting for the cover of that album. And even though I had been friends with him for a while, I think that might have been the first time I realized he was a painter. And I fell in love with this painting he did of a mechanical heart, so much so that I have it tattooed on my chest. This was years ago. And as I was working on this album, I was trying to think about the imagery that I wanted for it. And that painting kept popping back into my head as being very appropriate for how the album was to me thematically. So, but the painting's very dark and grungy, and that aspect of it didn't necessarily match. So I asked Mike's permission if I could, do a three-dimensional representation of his painting, and luckily he agreed. So I commissioned my friend Jim Bonner, who's just a very talented sculptor, to sculpt it for me, and actually I have the physical sculpt right here. So Jim sculpted this heart, and then did a photo scan of it to convert it into a 3D object, basically, which is what you see. It's a digital manipulation that's on the actual cover, but the actual physical heart is one of the things that we're selling with the deluxe set of the album too. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Real happy with the way that turned out. But it kind of became a symbol for me of like a different working relationships with other artists, not only with Mike and with Jim, who sculpted it, but then my friend Mikey Carrasco, who's a very talented painter and tattoo artist, is the one that tattooed it on my chest. So it's like every time this thing comes up, it's been a really cool opportunity for me to work with an artist that I really respect and love their work.
Great to hear all the meaning behind it.
Thanks.
Now, the quarantine time, how have you yourself handled that?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a fortunate position that a lot of the work I do is from home. So like recording an album, I do it in this very room we're talking in right now. And then I also do a lot of visual effects for film and TV, and then also I'm a painter as well. So I do it all from home anyway. The main impact has been that in the film world, the work has kind of dried up because there's really no productions filming right now. But I've managed to piece together some work, and it also gave me a great excuse to just focus on getting this album, into a place where I was really happy with it. And so, it's a horrible thing, the quarantine, but I've tried to, or the COVID in general, but I've tried to make the most of it and just keep creating things.
Are you doing any virtual shows?
No, not yet. The challenge for me has been that I don't want to play a show without my live band. It's just I mean, I could just do karaoke, here, but that wouldn't be very exciting, I don't think. So and I may do a virtual show depending on how the lockdown goes, but I want to wait till a time when it's safe to get together with my band, and where if we were to do that route, we could actually put on what would be hopefully a more entertaining performance than just me singing.
Now, do you think eventually you'll do more film work, another film? Is that something you want to do?
Yeah, I love making movies, and I work in the industry, just doing visual effects, also building props and designing props and things like that for other films. But yeah, I really had a great time making my film, Dry Blood. I didn't direct this one, I produced it and wrote it and acted in it, but really got the bug going in me to do more of that. And I think, I want to pursue, I want to pursue doing, directing a feature myself, which is hopefully what'll happen next. But there's a lot of things that, processes that you have to go through in between coming up with the idea and then, actually getting to make the film. So I will be making more, hopefully sooner than later, but, to a degree, it's out of my hands.
What are some maybe ideas of films you'd like to make? Do you have any visions?
Oh yeah, I write a lot, so I have a stack of scripts, mostly leaning towards horror, some on the thriller, crime, drama side of things. there's a couple right now that I'm going back and forth between in terms of what I want the next film to be. I don't want to get into too in depth on it, but I'll just say one is kind of like a very demonic creature type film, and the other is more along the lines of sci-fi horror. So
That sounds cool.
thanks. Yeah, you know, and because of the way things are now with everything being locked down, it's very difficult to get a production off the ground. But I've recently, well, just the last few years, really been focusing more on visual effects and animation and so forth. So I'm not going to take it off the table, the possibility of doing an animated film. If I can't leave the house, that's always a great option. But we'll see. Yeah, I'll see what the future holds. I'm kind of winging it for now.
I want to go back to your new album. How would you say your sound has evolved from the time you started until now?
Oh, well, quite a lot. I never really had traditional musical training or vocal training or anything. And if you go back and listen to a lot of the things I recorded early on in the history of the band, it was very rough, I think, to be generous. That's so over the years, just continuing to write music and play, for pleasure, for just play the keyboard or guitar just for fun, and then performing in front of people, playing shows, and I've just gradually got, I hope at least, better at it. So and I think this album is kind of a culmination of a lot of the effort I put into to becoming a better songwriter. I feel really good about the songs on this album. I'm very proud of it. And I think it represents kind of a more mature sound for the band than we've had before. And I don't mean that in a boring way. I mean that in the songs are more, I think, refined and polished. And ultimately, I guess it's going to be up to the listeners if they like it or not. But I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I heard a preview and it sounds incredible.
Wow, thank you.
Now, if people want to look you up online, find your music, how do they do that in social media?
Well, the album, the band's website is systemsyn.com, so it's Syn spelled with a Y, and we've got the pre-sale for the album and all the exclusive merchandise going on there now. And that site also has links to all my social media, but I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram under System Syn. So if you just search for System Syn on any of those platforms, you'll find me.
So basically just all over the social media?
Yeah. Hard to keep up with them, but...
Now, I know you got this record just coming out. Are you currently also working on any more music, like current music too?
Yeah, I mean, I just wrapped this up not too long ago. That's one benefit of doing a self-release I found, is that there's not the lag time in between completing the album and seeing the release. Pretty much right when the master was done on this album, I submitted it to the manufacturing plant to be made like instantly, or not instantly, but as fast as they could do it. So I don't. Whereas before with a record label, I'd typically I'd be done with the album 3 or 4 months in advance of it being released. So it's still pretty brand new for me in terms of writing. But yeah, I mean, the same day I finished writing the songs, I started writing more. But I always do that. It doesn't mean I'm going to put out another album immediately right after. But I'll keep writing. A couple of the songs on this album were that I had written immediately after the last album. But you work on things over years, and some of them stick with you, and others you just trash, and you keep writing, and eventually you have a set of songs that you want to release. Cool.
Now, when you get able to play live again, are you going to play some of your older material too, or just focus on the new record, or combination?
Yeah, we usually every time I put out a new record, I'll just play 3 or 4 songs off the new record, and also be respectful to the fact that most people who are at the shows want to hear the songs that they know. So you kind of gradually sneak the newer songs into your set list, but you still got to play the tracks that people came out to see. And I like playing the old stuff too. So A mixture of both, I guess, is the short answer.
And for anyone who doesn't know, how many albums do you have?
I self-released like a number of demo albums before we got signed, but I don't count those. But since then, I believe that this new album is going to be, I want to say number 8, but I could be 7 or 8, somewhere in that range.
Well, it was good having you and talk with you, and everyone looking well.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, appreciate you having me on.